Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 21st of February, comes to you from London. And we start, as always, by looking at the dollar, just still sinking a little bit lower, so short-term weakness showing, but is still in a medium and long-term uptrend. The euro, as a result, actually falling on the longer-term charts, but rising on the shorter-term charts. But we do have resistance, so we expect that move to be relatively short-lived. Looking at the yen, which is where we normally see the dollar performance show up first, we're back to bullish territory there, so it'll be interesting to see how that changes the picture for the dollar. Sterling still looking pretty strong against the dollar, sitting at 131, and against the euro also bullish in the short term, and the Swiss franc and the Aussie dollar. We've seen quite a big move there for sterling, weaker Aussie dollar. Bitcoin is down this morning, but really this chart is still bearish, medium and long term. US stock market last night edged higher, so we're just seeing the emergence back into medium-term bullish territory, having really been in bearish territory for 4 months now. So we are seeing this recovery underway. We do have this big fan pattern opening out, and that just does increase the uncertainty. We've got more scope for the market to go in either direction for resistance and support. So that's making it more challenging for chartists to actually call which way the market will actually go in the longer term. We're seeing the Nasdaq just hitting a bit of resistance here. The S&P is just nudging through, so we would expect the Nasdaq to probably do the same. We're seeing the Dow is already through quite convincingly, with quite a good number of upside targets there on the short-term chart, and the Russell 2000 also just pushing higher. So we're seeing that as well. The S&P E-mini, we're seeing also this morning the futures indicating a slightly higher open, so we're just constantly nudging forward, and that's actually quite encouraging that we're just seeing the market just nudge forward like that. So it looks like the US will open a little bit higher. The FTSE 100 is down 0.4% this morning. Not enough to change the trend, though. Just really been flat the last week or so on the FTSE, and we are wandering out into medium-term bullish territory like the US. So we are seeing the recovery there. The mid-caps in the UK also doing the same, just medium-term coming out back into bullish territory and making new highs on the chart. This is trending more clearly than the FTSE 100, and we do have an upside target still of 2.5% higher to 19,700 on the index. The DAX is slightly higher this morning, not enough to take it medium-term bullish though, so we've still got work to do in the German market, and the CAC 40 is actually doing as the UK and the US markets, just wandering through, so looking better there. The Nikkei was up 0.5%, not yet bullish on the medium-term chart, but the Hang Seng index very clearly bullish, has been ever since January on that medium-term chart, marching up the hill still. It was up 0.4%. China was down 1/3%, but still looking pretty bullish on the medium and short-term charts. Long term, we still have fears for China, so we need to just keep an eye on that. The Sensex in India is still bearish below the cloud on the short term. The Aussie market looking lower there. It's higher on the bullish medium-term chart, so we're seeing that as well. Brent crude this morning is down 0.2%, but really doesn't change the picture. It's still short-term bullish. Medium-term, we've still got a little bit of work to do. WTI is very little changed, up very slightly. Did have quite a move yesterday, so we're just holding on to these gains. US nat gas edging higher at $2.68. Gold had a very strong day yesterday. Was nudging 13.50 at one point, 13.45. It's pulled back this morning, but that's not enough to take the chart bearish. We've activated this big upside target for gold, so looking more and more bullish, even though we're just pulling back a little bit this morning. Silver also just pulling back, but bullish on the medium and short-term charts. Long-term, we've still got a little bit of work to do. US 10-year yields weaker at 2.66. We're just still in bearish mode in the short term. We've now got quite a lot of downside targets to around the 2.5% area, and German bond prices falling a little bit on the bond price. The yield's just rising there in Germany this morning. which means the bond is falling away. Looking at the individual stocks, we can start by looking at what happened overnight in the Nasdaq. We had Amazon, they were down a third. Google was down 0.4%. Apple bucked the trend there and was up 0.6%. So looking like it's really finding long-term support, but not really showing a clear recovery yet. Facebook was up slightly and holding on to their medium-term gain through the cloud there. But it's still a pretty mixed picture for tech. If we look at Microsoft, we were down 0.5%, but still looking very good on the long-term chart. Tesla were down 1%, just struggling, and we also saw Netflix were down just over 0.5%. So a pretty mixed performance there. In the Aussie market overnight, we saw Webjet up 30%, a massive jump there. Fisher and Paykel Healthcare were up 7%, and that chart looking pretty good too. And Nine Entertainment up 7%, Channel 9, but not enough to really change the picture on the chart. A dismal performance, having outperformed the market beautifully in 2018, gave it all back in the second half of the year. Looking at the downside for the Aussie market, we had St Barbara Limited down 8%, Saracen Mineral also down, but holding on to their bullish trend there. Starting to look a little bit weaker on the relative, so that might be coming to an end. The Chinese market, we had mostly fallers because the market was down. We did have Orient Securities up 17%. They've really rocketed the last week or so, so that's been quite an interesting one to keep an eye on. And China's state construction was down 3%, so still looking bearish on the long-term chart. In the Indian market, taking a look at the Nifty 50, India Bulls Housing, they were the best performer, although we still have not changed the picture of the chart there at all. Vedanta also up, but the chart not looking great. If we look at the negative stocks, there weren't many. Bharati Infratel down 2.5%, but not enough to take the picture bearish. Here we see the live prices coming in from Yahoo Finance. Taking a look at the FTSE 100 index, we start by looking at Barclays up 3.8%. They reported results this morning, and so they're up on those results. Standard Chartered rising in sympathy. Rolks Group up 1.2%. That chart looking pretty good with a lot of upside targets there on the longer term, so that's quite interesting. And then if we look at the downside performance, Centrica down 11%, saying they're being hit by the price cap this morning. BAE Systems 5% lower as well, and TUI still lower as well. Taking a look at the FTSE 250, we see here that we've got CYBG, they're up 6%. So that's looking stronger. Looking at the downside, we've got Hays, they're down nearly 6%, so just been hit there. Just Eat, woes continue, they're down, but the recovery is okay there still on that medium-term chart. Looking across to Europe, we've got Genab in Copenhagen, they're up 8%, starting to kick through into bullish territory there. And then if we look at the downside, Centrica is amongst those leading there. AP Moller Maersk down nearly 11% as well. That chart looking pretty bearish too. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.